Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace. I'm so happy you clicked on this video. Today I have 5 projects finished for y'all. Some of them were quick and easy, simple projects. Another one was kind of a little detail oriented, but all of them were definite upgrades from where they started out. Y'all let me know which project is your favorite and we're going to get started right now. Hi friends, I hope y'all are doing wonderful today. Here is our first project, a blue small toolbox. It has a gap, but it does close, so it's functional. And I love the color it is already and how it has some rust on it. So we did need to give this toolbox a really good clean. I actually went over it a couple of times just to get any dirt and oils off and some of that chip and paint we need removed before we move to our next step. I was inspired to do this project from my really good friend Emily at J. Bowen and Company. She made over a toolbox and I knew I needed to make one myself. So before we go adding a transfer to this, I did seal it with a couple coats of flat clear coat, let that fully dry, and now we're going to add this Lost Garden IOD transfer. I'm going to cut off about half of this page and we're going to actually wrap it around the toolbox. I love this design and I don't use it as often as I don't know, I want to. I guess I haven't used it in a while. So I wanted to grab it back out. I love the negative space it has in it. So you're going to be able to see that gorgeous blue color and the rusty crusty of the toolbox. I did have to do some trimming around the latch and around that handle on top so I could get my transfer to lay flat. So I just kept on holding it up there and cutting off a little bit at a time until I got it to fit perfectly. Now that we have our transfer cut right, I'm going to peel that protective backing off and get it placed on our toolbox. I'm just going to start by rubbing down one side and then gently folding it over and into that handle and pressing it down to the top side. The carrier sheet of your transfer has a light tack to the back of it, so it should stay in place. I'm just going to pick a section and start rubbing and lifting up a corner and rubbing and lifting at the same time. This was a process. It kind of moved pretty slow, but I'm very glad I decided to seal over that blue rusty crusty paint before applying this because it could have went a whole lot worse. So I just took my time working in sections. Sometimes I would grab a different end of the transfer and just work from a different end, lifting and rubbing at the same time. Next, I want to take my X-Acto knife and just cut the transfer on that opening so we can get our toolbox open. And then I'm going to take my hands and just fold that rough end over to make sure it's stuck to something so it will not peel off later. I'm going to grab this design from that same Lost Garden transfer book and add one to both sides. This one went on a lot easier, so I'm just rubbing and lifting, and I love how this design looks over that blue paint. I did seal over our toolbox with 2 more coats of a Dixie Belle flat clear coat. Other than that, this project was super easy, but I think it is a really good upgrade. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. I'll price it for $17. Our second project is this 99-cent hanging basket. I hate it when thrift stores Sharpie the item. Like, you cannot put a tag on it, a sticker, something. Either way, I'm going to paint over this top edge with DIY cottage color in the color Juniper. I don't use this color a lot, but it is a really nice green color that I love. I'm just going to paint this top edge and the hanging handle. I did about 1.5 coats. Here is how we're looking after that paint is dry. So now I have a piece of drop cloth fabric out. I just cut this off of a bigger piece, and then I have this gorgeous label transfer from the Traditional Pots IOD transfer book, and we're going to add this transfer to the drop cloth fabric. I decided to apply the transfer to the fabric before applying the fabric to the basket. Learned that the hard way from another project, because you really have to press down on this transfer to get it to stick to fabric. But it will stick perfectly fine. You just have to add a bit more pressure than usual. Once I get this design down, I'm going to go over it very well with my hands and burnish that design into the fabric. And then we're going to start cutting this fabric to size. I'm just going to stick it on the basket and figure out, about how big I want my label. I'll cut one side, stick it back up there again, cut the other side, and just keep placing it on my basket until I have the right size label cut out. And then I'm going to fray those ends to the drop cloth just to give it a little bit more personality. I'm going to use my hot glue gun to attach our label, just a few little dots on all 4 corners. And that is it for this project, my friends. This project was super easy, but I think it is also a good upgrade. I'm going to price it for $9. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. Here is my favorite project in today's video. It's this little shelf with the little hanger rods, whatever you want to call them. It's in really nice shape. I just don't like the design. So we're going to beat off that back and set the wooden shelf to the side. And this is actually a piece of wallpaper up here. So we removed that, knocked out those nails, and this backer board was pretty rough, so I gave it a quick sand and then dusted that off. And then we needed to give it a couple coats of a shellac sealer to seal in that wood. Now our wood has been sealed. I have some leftover thickened paint texture here. This is Provincial by DIY Cottage Color and a lot of salt wash. I didn't want to waste this, and I wanted texture on this background, so I'm just going to spread it out in a random manner and just use up the rest I have in this little cup. I'm using just a scraper tool to get it up there. Once that is dry, I'm going to take some vintage linen DIY paint. I'm just going to apply some to my board, just putting it up there. Really, I decided I wasn't going to use a paintbrush for this project, I guess. I'm going to take this scraper tool and just spread out this white layer of paint. I'm going to let it skip over some of those edges, like on the outer of the backer board, and just spread it as evenly as possible. I dried down that layer just to see if I wanted a second coat, and I decided I did, but just in the center area. So I applied just a little bit more to the center of the board and then spread that out the same way with this silicone scraper. Once that layer was dry, I'm going to take some sandpaper and sand back down to some of that provincial color just to bring back some different kinds of distressing. I have the wood and the provincial coming through. So here I have laid out my design of some paint inlays. This is Floriography IOD paint inlay. I have 3 designs here and some text. We're going to start by just applying them one at a time. I'm going to mist the back of that paint inlay and set it to the side. And we're going to be using Dixie Belle's flat clear coat as our medium to apply the paint inlay into. So I'm just going to spread it out where I think that design's going to lay, and then press my design paint side down into that wet medium. I felt like that top had dried on me, so I decided to apply a little bit more of that flat clear coat and then press that top half in. I cut off this because I thought I was going to be able to fit my words up there, but I had to come and add them later either way. I'm going to mist the top of that design and then rub it down with a blue shop towel just to make sure there's no wrinkles or air bubbles and that the design has made good contact with my backer board. I'm just going to then work a paint inlay at a time. Applying them separately, it really helps. It's less stressful, and I know my clear coat is good and wet still when I'm applying it to my board. So I'm just going to play some music here and let you watch me apply the rest of these paint inlays. I'm very impatient, so I'm going to use my heat gun to dry the paint inlays, and you know they're fully dry when they are back cloudy looking. So now I'm going to re-wet them and let that water soak in for a minute, and then we're going to start removing them. Just going to pick this right design. Or first I'm going to go over and get off any excess water so it doesn't, bleed my designs. And then I'm just going to pick this design and start peeling it back. It started peeling up my white paint right here. And I think it's because of that thick layer of paint and how I use the scraper to apply it than a paintbrush. So maybe that paint wasn't fully dry. That's what I'm thinking, but this is supposed to look vintage, it's supposed to look old, so I'm not mad about it. If your transfer starts to be hesitant on peeling back, just do not force it. Set it back down and re-wet it and let that water soak into the paper, and then try again a few seconds later, and it should release a whole lot better. This piece was for sure not my most perfect paint inlay I've ever did, but I still really like how it came out. Before moving on to our next steps, I'm going to give this backer board a couple coats of a matte clear coat. This will seal in that paint inlay pigment so they cannot smear. And now let's embrace this rustic piece and add some more age. I'm going to use the Pentart Fine Line Crackle 2-component system. I'm applying component 1 here in just a random manner. Let that fully dry, and now I'm applying the component 2. This component can run on you very easily. It can have yellow drip marks. So apply this one a lot thinner and spread it around more. And I do not like how glossy those two components are once you're finished. So a sweet viewer told me about this product. This is a matte varnish that reacts well to that fine line crackle. You cannot use a water-based product over top of the fine line crackle. It will create a sticky mess. So I applied this varnish over top of the whole design, and that stuff is very, very stinky too. So be in a well ventilated area. And once that was dry, I'm going to bring out the crackle we created with Fusion's Agent Wax. Now let's get our backer board attached back to our wooden shelf. I did not want to do anything to that wooden shelf. The wood tone was perfect. I just cleaned it. I'm adding a few staples here and then a hanging hardware system to the back of the shelf, and this project is done. I really like how this one came out. It's definitely different than I had imagined, but I still love it. I'm going to price this one for $39. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. Here we have a dice container box in really good shape. It's made of plywood. It looks like a kid was storing some crayons or something in it. I paid, it says $1.99, but green tags were 50% off that day, so it was $1. We're going to give this project a good wipe down and then a scuff sand. I didn't know where I was headed with this project at first, and these dots were a little raised, so I gave them a quick smooth over. I decided I wanted to add some texture to this project. So I have about a half of a cup of salt wash here and some Provincial DIY cottage color paint. I really needed to use this paint up. I've had it sitting for a while and it's perfect to create these thick mixtures with. I'm going to mix that up until it's a very thick consistency. It kind of looks like cement right here. And we're going to use it kind of like the project before this. This is what I was using the rest of. I'm going to use that same scraper and apply this on all four sides of this dice box and the top lid as well. I'm just applying it. It does not have to be done a specific way. Just get it up there and let it fully dry. Our next layer is Farmhouse Linen. This is a Paint Couture chalk paint. I ordered it when it was 20% off using Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse coupon code because I wanted to try it out. And it's very similar to Dixie Belle paint, if you ask me. So it's a good chalk paint. I've applied 2 coats all over just the outside of the box and the lid. I'm going to do something a little different to the inside of the box to cover up those stains. Now I want to bring back some of the texture we created. I started off doing this by hand with a piece of 120 grit sandpaper, but this was going to take forever doing it this way, so I took it over to the other side of my shop and used my electric sander with a 220 grit and sanded it back until I like the way it looks. This is mostly going to be covered up with the stamp I chose to use on it. This is Folk Story IOD stamp. I love, this is my favorite stamp from the summer release. And that jewelry box, I put it on a few videos back, has sold. So I feel like this is a popular design for customers as well. So I wanted to put it on another project. I'm just going to ink up the back of the design and put it on all four sides of our box. I'm using my brayer to try to get a better impression since we have texture going on. So it's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't have to be, and it still looks really good. I inked it up again and applied it to the second side, holding with one hand and pressing with the other so my stamp does not shift on me. I sealed up the outside of the box with Dixie Belt Flat Clear Coat, and the inside I'm just going to do one coat of Coal Black by Fusion to cover up those crayon stains. I watered the paint down a little bit just so it would flow nicely, and I'm just going to do one coat here and let it fully dry. Other than that, this project is done. When y'all see the final pictures, y'all let me know what else y'all would do to it. It doesn't look finished to me. Maybe it needs like a knob on top, a conservatory label on the front of it, but what would you put on the label? Y'all let me know what else you would do to this project. If I decide to sell it like it is right now with like a planter box, I would price it for $17. Our last project in today's video is this set of candlestick holders. I paid $5 for this set at a church yard sale. We're going to get these stickers removed, get them all cleaned up, and then I'm going to put a couple coats of shellac-based primer on them. We're going to be using milk paint, and I don't want all of my milk paint to chip off, so we really need this primer. I'm going to do a mixture of milk paint. I used 1 scoop of Cheshire Bestoke brand and 1 scoop of In the Pickle with 2 scoops of water. Mix that together well until both the water and powder is very well combined. I'm going to set it to the side and let it thicken for about 15 minutes before I apply my first coat of milk paint. Here's the color we created. I like it, I just wish it was a little bit darker. As I'm applying this coat of milk paint, I wanted to update y'all a little bit on the website. Everything has been so wonderful and well, but we have came across a little hiccup recently. Because I store all of my IOD items at my booth, I update that every 24 hours if something sells in my booth. Well, right now, Coppermill is updating their software system, so I have not been able to see what is selling. So I've been having to go by there, and of course, I can't go by there every day with my busy schedule, so my inventory on my website has not been 100% correct. This has only happened like 2 times with 2 different customers, but I still cannot stand it. I just, if someone comes to my website to order something and it says it's available, I want it to be available. So I'm trying to give these customers perks for ordering next time, and making it up to them. But I just wanted to share this with y'all so y'all know what's going on in case you get an email saying, I'm sorry, I don't have this item. Hopefully, everything is going to be back to normal in a couple of days, and this problem will solve itself. But I just wanted to update y'all there, and I appreciate y'all's support on my website so very much. It has really blown my mind away, y'all's support. Back to the project. As you can see, I added 2 coats of the milk paint, and now I'm adding Fusion's Agent Wax. That really deepened up that color, and I like it a whole lot better. That's it for these projects. Y'all let me know what y'all think about these candlesticks. I'm going to price the set of 3 for $43. I'm going to go up a little bit because they have been selling very quickly when I put them in there. So I'm going to see if it will sell at $43. If not, I will lower the price. And that is all I have for y'all today, my friends. I really hope y'all enjoyed these quick and easy projects. Y'all let me know which project is your favorite down in the comments. And if you got any inspiration from today's video, hit that like button. Make sure to leave a comment and consider subscribing if you have not already. Y'all also go check out my website. That information is linked down in the description box. Bye.